Hello everybody, it is Art Tool Tip Tuesday. Let me get everything set. First off, so sorry, I am super late. The freeway was shut down on my way home, and what normally takes me 30 minutes took me an hour and 45 minutes. So it was an adventure in patience, big adventure in patience. But tonight we have a fun show. I had it all planned, so I was dying to show you guys. And I think a couple things. One is we may be buffering a little weird. So let me know if my mouth and my voice aren't matching, because they don't even match on my screen, which is weird. That's okay. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do and what inspired me to do this, and then hopefully it inspires you too, and you'll make something new and try it. So I have seen where people make their own custom sketchbooks, and I'm going on a big trip with carry-on only, and I want to make sure that I don't have too much heavy stuff, but it is a 14.5-hour flight, and I have art projects I intend to work on when I'm not sleeping on the airplane, because that's a lot of time on an airplane. So what I wanted to do was make my own sketchbooks for the airplane, and then in doing that I ended up making other books, and we'll just kind of play it out and you can see what all I'm up to. But I'll start with where I started. And this is kind of an example. I don't have it all resolved yet, but I'm going to give you an example and then show you what I was thinking. The first thing is I wanted a variety of papers. I knew that I wanted some watercolor paper. I knew that I wanted drawing, like really good illustration paper for drawing that was smooth. And then I thought it'd be fun to have something fun, which is where the brown paper came in. And I didn't want a heavy cover because I don't want the weight. So this is, like I said, it's not resolved yet. I haven't found the perfect, I gotta find a good clip that will work with this, but this is what I'm thinking. So anybody who tuned in the last few weeks, I've been playing with these mini watercolor sets that my daughter got me, and this was one of them, and I ended up, I wasn't crazy about the paper it came with. It was big, it sat big like this, and it was 3x3 squares. I ripped the 3x3 squares out of there so that I still had the palette that I really like, and it's sticking because it's a little messy. Ooh, sticking. Okay, we're gonna leave that until I clean it up. But I thought, how fun would it be for me to have something really simple that just goes with this book? So I just need a water brush and a pencil, and that's it. And I can take this book and go. Okay, so I took first and played with, and I also wanted a landscape. So I didn't want a sketchbook that opened like this. I wanted it to be landscape. So I started with get into like some really weird sketchbook stuff. Annie C, welcome. Everybody who's joining tonight, welcome. It took me an hour and 45 minutes to get home, and normally it takes me about 30 minutes after work. So it was quite the commute. So I apologize that I'm late, but we're here now, and I've been excited to share this. So, and yes, I can see chat and I can see the screen. So all of my mess from last week, I think it had to do with whatever their update was. And they did another update release with my software, and now it's working again. So yay, that's awesome. Okay, so I wanted a wide format so you can see I can work my way across all of this space. But this is my favorite watercolor paper. It's Arch's 140-pound cold press. I also added Arch's 140-pound hot press, which is really smooth. And then 2 really nice sheets of Fabriano illustration paper. And off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Let me see and I'll tell you. It is smooth bristle, B-R-I-S-T-O-L, which I really love drawing on, and it's very thick. And then this is Stonehenge in Craft Brown, and it is a gorgeous paper as well. Gouache paints beautifully on this. So I thought that's perfect for cover, but I can also paint gouache in it and do little sketches in gouache paint. So that was my perfect sketchbook, and I wanted to have, and if you see, it's light, there's no cover, it's not a ton of pages. I needed enough for my trip, but I wanted 3 of them. And here's the best part. I'm taking resources. So I am working on my border projects, which are my new illustrated certificates of authenticity that I wanted to create based off of Victorian illustrations. And so I have resource images in here, and I'll take other resource images I'm going to gather for a couple of my other projects that I'm working on. So I have 3 separate projects, and each have their own sketchbook. They'll go in a pouch, and then I can pull them right out of the backpack and work on them. And these will come in really handy, because if I clip one of these watercolor sets right to it, then I've already got my paint ready to go, just like that. Now I could have done like a simple, there's a binding where you stitch and there's like a stitch, and you can do 2 to 5 or 3 to 5, but I thought, I saw this chain stitch and I really liked it. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this and how to put one of these together and what I did to put them together. Now I've already set these 2 up, and I'm going to show you how to poke the holes and all the tools you need, but I'll get you started first. And we even did like the scraps, the leftovers. I did some little mini books, and I'll show you some trimming on this. So I'm going to show you everything you need. It's super easy. You can make simple books. You can use different kinds of papers. Mine definitely, you know, like I said, I knew that I wanted a couple different kinds of drawing and watercolor paper in my sketchbook, and I didn't want that many pages. And so because I wanted quality materials and I wanted them landscape and a certain size, I thought it's easiest for me to just pull from my stash of paper and make them. Then I got really excited, because those of you who know me know I love art materials and testing new things. So I had a pad of, I think it's called Paint On. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe not. I'll show you what it is. Yeah, it's Paint On. And I had gotten this to test a while back. And it's okay. It's nice. It's great for gouache, for little sketches and stuff. But I had wanted some really small, easy sketchbooks or notebooks. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to make some notebooks. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay? So we're going to start with notebooks like this, and then we'll go into binding. I'm going to show you this binding and trimming and everything I made to do that and the tools you need. But the first thing that you're going to need with any of these projects is, of course, whatever paper, and you can try this out with hand notebook, whatever you've got in the house. It could just be a sketch pad or a notebook. Try it out just to see if you can figure out how to do it. You could take scraps of stuff and see what you can make. So do something really fun to try it out. Tools. Let's go over tools. So you need some sort of a cutting mat, because you're going to end up cutting paper. No matter what, you're going to have to cut something. So you need a cutting mat. This is, I have different sizes of these, but this is just a small one I brought into the studio. And then a ruler, preferably something with, look how my cork is a mess. But I like a cork back because it doesn't slide as much. Not necessary. You can use a spoon, you can use a butter knife. This is probably plastic. I don't think it's real bone, but it's called a bone folder, and it helps you get a nice crease when you fold your paper. So you need that. And then you're gonna need, this is an awl, A-W-L, and it's got a point here. and then you poke holes for the binding. You're gonna need a big needle. Now, if you're sewers and you just have a big needle, that would work. These I bought are bookbinding needles, but I will say I would like something that I can more easily get the waxed linen thread through. This is quite the chore, and you'll get to see me do that. So they're nice size needles. There it is to my hand, so you guys can see the size of it. And there's a bunch in this. They weren't very expensive. See, there's a ton of them, but they don't have a very big eye opening on the top. That's my only gripe with them. And any thread will work for you. You can get unwaxed or waxed. I had bought this fancy pants waxed linen thread a while back and put it in my drawer to use later. And so we're gonna bind with this. It's neat. It's got like a wax to it. Now you can wax your own by just taking and rubbing your yarn or thread or whatever you're using over a chunk of wax, but I'm lazy. We know this. So, Lebowski, welcome. Everybody on here, welcome. That's pretty much all you need. So you're gonna need some kind of a needle and thread, right? You need some pokey sharp thing to poke holes into your binding. So some pointy pokey hole thing. A nail could probably work if you had a little nail. It might be tough. This is a nice tool, but I'm sure you can get your hands on some sharp pokey thing. And then paper and some cutting tools. So with that, and I like to have a cutting knife. This is an inexpensive one that you can just get and replace the blades. And I like the big thick ones that you can hold in your hand. So the thin X-Acto knives, I never do well with those. And then a pair of scissors. And they could just be little scissors because you're just cutting your thread. Okay? Okay, so these little notebooks I found in my paper stash. Now, I tried one out, and I'm going to have to widen the stitches on this. And also, it kind of cracks when it folds. So if I were really with it, I would have gotten linen tape and put a binding to help this. But I'm going to make one just to show you. I knew that I only wanted, these are like for little 1 week, they're my food journals is what they are, so I can write down what I'm eating and start tracking it. So I knew that I didn't want more than 2 pages because when I fold them, I suddenly have 8 sides and I only have 7 days in the week. So I just wanted something simple, and I wanted to be able to sketch in it or paint a little if I want, just little things. So they're 2-page journals with a cover, and I just thought this paper was kind of fun. It's got a texture to it. So the first thing I do is I've got to make sure that these fit inside this, right? And they're bigger. So we're going to take a little bit off to make it fit inside. So I'll go, well, this is bent a little, so I'll cut that side off. So I'll go here and I'll take this piece and I think I'm going to cut it maybe at 1/4. We'll just try it at 1/4. Doesn't have to be. So I'm going to take 1 inch and like 1/4 off. Now I cut so much on these mats that I don't even make marks. I just look for it on the mat and line everything up. So if I line up on both my edges, I know it's square down here and here. And then I will just go to the 1/4 inch mark before 13 and know that I'm cutting 1 inch and 1/4 off. So I line that up. Both of my pieces are in here, by the way. And I just do a couple cuts and that's it. That's ready to go. Okay. Now that's one way. We got to do the other side. So I want it to fit inside the book. And it looks like I can cut off 1/2 inch. Okay. Now I can either turn my paper or I can turn this guy. Doesn't matter which. And I'm going to just turn this guy, leave my paper, and I'm going to go to 1/2 inch off the end. So right to this 1.5 mark. And I hold my paper down. Lebowski's having a heart attack right now. It does not like to watch me cut things. And that's it. So now I take my paper and I go, yeah, that's gonna fit. Ooh, it's a little too tall. Look at that. It's too tall. I need to take a little more off. So I'm gonna take a little more off this side, and this time I'm just gonna line it up like that. You don't have to measure it exactly, guys. It's your book. You can do what you want. Okay. There's that. Boom. Just like that. Now, we want to fold these, all three. We have our pieces, and we're going to fold them. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to match, really try to match up my corner to corners and make sure that they line. And I always bring my hand gently out to the middle and then go to the sides. And then if you take your spoon or your knife or your bone folder, you can make a nice sharp crease and fold it. Then we do our other one. Again, I go to the middle and then out. And then our cover. Now this paper is, of course, it's probably like 30 years old. It's in my stash, so it's crackly. Again, I could put a piece of tape or linen or fabric and glue that on this binding to make it a little stronger. But because it's just a little diet writing journal, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go ahead and just bind it up as it is. So you lay them all together. We've got our three pieces, right? And in this case, I don't want them to sit like this because it's not going to be centered. So I want these guys to sit in the middle, but then I'll kind of center this on the paper as best as I can and shove it towards the back. Just bring it down a little bit like that. So now I've got them all lined up, and I made a template. And how I did this was I took a piece of paper and I measured every 1/2 inch and then I folded it in half and then measured it, put the holes in it, and then erased the marks so that it wouldn't get on the paper. Now this is 1/2 inch up, so I line that up with this, and I know that 1/2 inch is too close on this binding, so I'm gonna go only do every other one. Okay, so this may get a little confusing, but I'm gonna take it this way. And I'm gonna go, I definitely want to start down here at the bottom. And I want to make sure that I don't get my hand in there. And I just poke right through every other hole. And I'm going through all three pieces. So I have them all lined up. Every other one. I've got a guide already. And that's it. Onto the bottom. And then if I look, do you see? There's all of my little holes. That simple, all the way through. Okay? And we are ready to bind and sew this together. So now we need thread, or like I used the linen thread. And when you're doing this stitch in particular, which is see, it's like a chain stitch, you need a little more than 3 times the height. So I don't worry about getting too much. So there's the height of it. And I know that I need 3 of these and a little extra. Okay, so I know I have enough to do this stitch. And I cut it, and then I'm gonna put a knot in this, okay? And then trim the extra. Now we've got to get it on the needle, which is oh so fun. I kind of, on this wax thread, I've noticed that if I push a lot of the wax off on the end, it mushes it flat and it helps me get it into the needle. It's still not easy, let me tell you. But I kind of shove it through there. And then I use my fingernails to pull the other side really hard. Nope, maybe, close. Not quite. Sometimes I have to cut a little clean edge on it and then try again. Nope. Nope. Sometimes I have to get a whole different needle. And this is why one of those big monster needles with a monster eye in it would be so helpful. Or unwaxed thread. That would work. Okay, we're going to try putting this one at an angle. So I chopped it at an angle. We're going to see if that helps. Oh, close, close, close. "45 minutes later, Wendy finally threads the needle. This is my hardest part, so I'm going to order bigger needles. And I recommend, if you guys do this, don't make your life hard. Okay, this did not pull all of it through. There's a piece that's loose on this side, and I'm okay with that as long as I make it so that I can get the whole thing through. It's kind of knotted. So that's not cool, but oof. Maybe I did. Kinda. Probably good enough. Okay, we're gonna do it. So all we do is we start in the bottom hole on the inside. We've already knotted it, so I just go through that bottom, just like that, nice and tight to the end. Now I'm gonna come up the next one, so the second hole, and I'm gonna bring this up, and then I check it and make sure that it's nice and flat, just like that, okay? We're gonna go down through the first hole because we want a double stitch on the bottom. So I'm gonna go through the first hole, make it nice and tight, okay? And then this first one is like a fake chain. You won't have a true chain at the end, but you do have a double stitch, which is nice. So there's our double stitch. We're now on the inside. When we go to the next one, so we go through the holes, make it nice and tight. Now what we're gonna do is come down here and tuck under both of these stitches and come back up, and that's how we make our chain. So you come back up and then go back through the hole that you came out of. And we're now in the center of the book again. just like that. And we come back down. Okay. And like I did before, I'm going underneath both of these stitches. And this is how we make that little chain right there. Now, I think it's a lot prettier if they're closer together, but this paper, the one I made this morning, it cracked. After I opened and closed it a few times, this may still crack, but I thought I'll just try one with 1 inch chain instead of a 1/2 inch chain. So you guys can see kind of, I go back through. There are a ton of different stitches that you can do to bookbind. This is one of many. I just really like the look of this one. I feel like it's a little more secure also than a couple of the other ones I've looked at and tried. Come back up. Look how pretty. Back down. Make sure it's nice and tight. Again, I just scooch underneath both of those stitches, bring it up and around, and that's what makes my chain. And then I go back through my hole. I don't know why this feels so rewarding. I love this. I love making little books and journals. And just like that, we are, and I don't know what I just did. Oh, my thread didn't go all the way through. Well, that's not good. I jinxed myself. Hopefully I'll get it through. Nope. Maybe if I fish this little piece through, I can do it. Maybe if I shove this little piece through. When all else fails, just make it work, right? There we go. I got it, as unwilling as it is. It was our last stitch, so not a big deal. Okay, now if you have a better knot if you tie it around the chain that you just built. So I'm just gonna knot it like that. This is wax, so it's not going anywhere. And boom, check this out, guys. So look, there is our cute little chain stitch. And then there's the inside. So I've got, you know, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then notes, or notes and then the days. And it's a darling little tiny, easy to carry, throw it in something journal. I could have cut this in half and made a half size. Not a big deal, just super, super easy. I know, and you see, isn't this the funnest thing? I mean, you start finding things, and you could do it with fabric too. Or you could cover cardboard with fabric to make a cover if you wanted a cover. I'm really looking for light things to throw in bags, so I didn't want heavy covers, but it gives you the right idea, okay? And like this has a tight little chain stitch. Look at this one. Nice and teeny tight that I used the scraps. Now, if you take a look at this, I do like, these are called decal edges. They're not straight edges. So do you guys see how the edges have a wave? That's a decal, and I don't want to cut those off. So I'm going to leave those. But the top of my book sticks out over the cover. And all I have to do is trim it. So I'll just take my ruler, match it up to the brown stuff, the cover, and then I will just gently go through each layer. Take that paper off. Now look, my book is perfect. Front, back, and I still kept my decals, which is not on every page, but I really like these. So this will be the front of this back book because I like these decal edges that were on this side. Okay? So we're going to do the other little one I have, and I'll show you that. This one I made a template, and let me see. You know what? I'm going to kind of show you the idea so that you know how to make one. And I've got a scrap piece of paper in here that has some weird stuff on it. So we're just going to use part of this, only not the whole thing. I like to have 3 inches to work with for this template. So I just put my paper on here, measure 3 inches, 1, 2, 3, and then cut it, okay? And that's it. And then you've got your paper for a template for punching, okay? Where you guys can see I already have the holes punched in this, and I don't have to constantly be measuring and putting dots. I just reuse this. So to make one of those, you just take your paper and you fold it in half long ways. So I'm going to come in here and I don't know if this can be erased or not. Yeah. Get some lines on here. Okay. Then you're going to open it up, and from the bottom, line it up with your ruler. So if I line this up with the 12-inch mark right here, I've got to determine how many holes I need and or want in this punch, okay? So I could say, like, I went every other hole. This one is 1/2 inch apart. These are 1/2 inch. These ones are 1/4 inch. And let's say for sake of argument, we're going to do 1 inch. So all we do is mark every inch. So right on the inch marks, I'm just marking it. And then you take your punch and you want it right in the seam. So I just try to put like a starting hole and punch through it first. And then I just go through and make sure it's big enough. Now, I know that this isn't going to touch anything, so I don't have to erase the marks, but if I were afraid of transferring, like if I were going to flip it around and I were afraid of transferring that onto my paper, I would go in here and just erase my pencil marks. But that's your call on, you know, you may not care. It may not be a big deal because you're going to draw all over it, so who cares, right? Okay. So that's how you make your template so that you can do a bunch of books. And I can write on here, this is 1 inch. Now this little one, I want to do 1/4 inch. So we're going to go back to here. And I'm gonna line it up because I know I'm gonna trim it. So I'm just gonna line this one up. Since this is a straight edge, I don't have to worry about centering it or anything. So I'm gonna snap that down in there so they're all lined to the bottom. And then this guy, and I might even redo that. Same here, and I shove this back to the back because I want it back in the back of that, right? So I kind of just make sure that they're lined up. I might have to adjust it with my finger, and I try to make sure they're pressed all the way back together. Now I've seen where some people will clip them, like a binder clip, and they clip it together to keep it tight. We could do that. I'm not going to do that. It's just, it doesn't take that long. And then I come in here and all I do is lay my punch right against it and go into each of those holes until I run out of place where I can go into the holes. And then I come back and make sure that I got the ones below. And before I move this paper that's holding them together, I will take a peek and make sure all my holes are there. And yes, they're all there. You can kind of see a dent. So you see that, guys? So I can take this out now. Right, like that. Now I'm afraid it's going to move, so I will come over here and grab this binder clip because it's getting away from me, and I'll just set that right there for now, because now we need thread again. So we're going to take all of that off of that, hide it from the kitten, throw it in the trash. And this has a lot of wax in it, so I'm going to try to clean the wax off. So that might be my problem with threading it, is that there's so much wax on it. All right. Okay, wax thread. So I'll unroll some. And remember, it's a little generous, and it's 3 times for this stitch. So I go 3, and then I know I need some extra, so I'm just going to cheat it and do even more than that. Okay. And I'm flattening this end again to try to get it through the needle. Nope. Oh, please. Yes. Look at that, guys. We did it. I did it. I know I need a bigger eye in the needle. So I need to order some needles that have a bigger eye, because these are just ridiculous. So there's that. Again, I put a knot in it first on this end. So I've got a nice knot. It's a very sticky. It's got wax on it, and it's super sticky with the wax. Okay, and now I'm going to come in here and go in the bottom hole. So same as before, we just went in the bottom hole. Now we're going to in the second one up. And I will say having it clipped is really kind of nice. I can tell a difference already. Kind of keeps it in one place. So if you guys are starting and you use a clip, it will make your life easier. And I'm sure the bigger your book is, the more you like having a clip. Okay? So first one, again, it's just 2 stitches. You don't have anything to loop into, so you just do your 2 stitches. Now this one will go up to the next hole, and we got a loop to make that chain. So I'm going to come under these 2 stitches right here. I'm going to try to. It's almost like I need to do it this way, but I'm going to have to remember to poke it this way each time. So we're just going to come this way. Don't let me forget, guys. Put in chat if I forget to go the right way. Lebowski, you have bigger needles? Of course you do, because you do leather work. So you probably have any tool I can possibly need. Right? So look how pretty that is. Perfect little chain stitch. I'm going to come up again, trying to remember to go through these this way, because it looks weird when you change directions. Whatever you do in your chain stitch, always make sure you go in the same direction, because you can see the difference when you go. Like if I bring it up this way, you will notice a difference in the chain. I don't like it, so I like it nice and consistent. I just have to remember, because this is not natural for me to go down to put the chain through. I want to come up, so it's kind of against my how I function. All right. And down, and then back up, and then through. I have a feeling that a perfect needle is about to arrive my way, which I am thrilled about. Awesome! Needle heaven has just arrived. Okay, we're gonna see what's in the needle kit, and we're gonna bind the next book with a needle with the right size. 2 more, guys, and then we'll move on. I want to show you guys how I did these pockets that I thought was clever. I don't know if it was really that clever, but did I do that right? Yeah. And then 1 more. We're getting down there. You definitely need to give yourself enough excess so that you can sew enough, if that makes sense. So look how pretty that little chain stitch is. Okay, Lebowski, thank you. So I'm going to go under here to kind of make it stronger and tie it into itself, and then hope that I might have to take it off the needle. Yeah. But the good news is we didn't waste as much thread on this one. Okay. So there's our chain stitch. I undo that, which look, I marked my book with that in pinching it. And now, look how I have all this extra white on this edge. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna take my ruler, cover that side, and then a little at a time. I just went off the rails. I gotta get it back on the rails. Somehow I got a crooked cut and I'm having a hard time cutting it straight. Okay, let's see if I did it. Not really, nope. So, do you see that mess I just made? We're gonna fix it up by lining this up again. I'm just chopping the extra. Let's see. not perfect. Nope. I don't want to keep going too much because I will just keep making a mess. It's not bad, but it's not great. That is not my greatest cutting job, guys. Do you see that little bump right there? Not the best. That is a very good tip. Thank you. Lebowski said sand it. Very good tip. Especially with something like this, because I don't want to wreck it or keep chopping it down. I'm getting really close to the binding. So that's going to wreck it if I do that. Okay, I'm going to come over here and grab the stash of needles, and we are going to bind one of these bigger ones. And I do want to share with you guys how I made this back pocket and what I did, since it's not art paper. So I'll give you guys my quick overview for that. Bind one more and then we're done. So let's see what we got in here. There are all kinds of, oh, look at this. Ooh, look at this. These are great. I'm taking one of these out of here. Which probably is not a good idea. They are so carefully sealed in there. And how awesome. There are all kinds of needles in here. Curvy ones and nice. Nice, nice, nice. Thank you very much. I don't know what's in here, but I want to see. Let's see. Ooh, all kinds of thread and stuff too. Look at this, guys. Ooh, there's all kinds of good stuff in here. Wow, and more needles. Ooh, it's a treasure trove. I love it. Okay, just expanded my book binding. Okay, so we've got a great big giant needle, which is fine that it's that big. I don't care. I'll just really stretch those holes out, which is okay, I guess. Oh, maybe I should see what's in here. That may be too big. Let's go back because I saw some things in here that they still have. Nope, that's bigger. Maybe we'll stick with, I think we'll stick with this one. It's perfect. How cute though. The things my husband has. How awesome. Okay. So these I've already cut, and I wanted to tell you real quick. I just used a mailing envelope on this. However, I knew that it wasn't archival and there would be acid in the paper. And I didn't, if this ends up being some incredible masterpiece, highly doubt it. But I wanted to protect it, so I coated it with 2 coats of a glue that's called GAC 100, made by Golden Paint. It's GAC 100. It's basically an archival glue. So I coated it, and then I used Golden's gel medium, which I think any Mod Podge or gel medium would work, to glue it down. And once the layers were dry on this, and then I glued it and put weight on it, and I let it sit so that I can put stuff in here and not worry about it staining my papers or my drawings or the cover of this if I paint on it. So that's how I did my pocket. Okay, we're gonna do a, what did I do? I think I did a 1/2 inch binding on this, and I absolutely love it. Remember I said if you change, well, my holes were a little wonky on this, so you can kind of see how my holes were goofy? It's fine. It doesn't bother me. So I'm going to take the 1/2 inch one, and I know that it starts down here. In fact, I should probably draw like an arrow. And I'm going to take this and put it in the middle and line everything up so that it all sits nice and tight. And I will go ahead and put, I didn't like that this thing made a mark on my page. So I think what I'm going to do is this. Take the other binding thing and put that on there. Okay, and same as before, I'm gonna come in here, maybe I'll start right about here. Now this is thicker paper and there are more sheets, so it's going to be a little harder for me to push it through all these layers. And the other thing is I'm going to have to flip. Oh, that's probably my problem, is I flipped it and then it angled it differently, so I'm not going to flip it. So that little tiny difference will make a difference. And I like to make sure that it's against something when I push it in, so I leave it kind of flat. I don't know that everybody, I think some people would probably like hold it up and go down, but this is just how I do it. It doesn't make it right, it just works for me. So if you can find a way to cheat something and it works for you, you go for it. Don't ever feel guilty about that. And the last one, the last dodo. All right, we have all our holes in the middle. All right, now everything's ready except for thread. Remember, this is chain stitch, so we do 3 lengths plus some. So 1, 2, 3, and then chop it. And check this out, guys. Ready? Oh, so much easier. What a difference. Wow, that was so easy. So don't make your life too hard. That's my only tip. Put a knot in there. These are going to be bigger holes because of my needle, so I'm going to do 2 knots. What is my kitten doing? Oh, I put a piece of cardboard from my drawer up on the bed and she's going bonkers. All right, bottom hole. Straight through. All the way. Next hole up. Straight through. Make sure it's nice and tight. Back through. And that's our first stitch. Okay. Back through for the first one. And then up. 1. Okay. Now, because this is down this way, I'm going to go up on this chain. So I'm always going to remember to poke it up and keep my chain the same direction. So I'm going to go back through, down through, and same. Point it away from me up through that to make my chain. Nice and tight. Back through. Try not to catch it on your clip. Back through. Back up. Down. Up through. And I did it again. Channeling my best Brittany. Okay, nice and tight. Again, up through. Get my needle ready. Bring it up, maybe not. Something's not lined up. Let's do it this way. Nope. nice and tight. Back down through the hole I came out of. Pull it up. Make sure that it's nice and tight. It's that one time that I forget to look that it's going to be loosey-goosey, and then with it being waxed, it makes it even harder for me to get it right. So, nice. Bring it back down. Cheating is the new American way after all. Yes, I know. I mentioned cheating like 10 minutes ago. Didn't see your message. Lebowski, Lebowski. And the shorter this cord gets, the easier it gets. So I have less that I'm managing as I go, which is really nice. Come out. So again, underneath both so that it makes that chain. And then back the hole you just came out of. And to the other side. That one was a little loose, so I've got a little bit of room to wiggle. There we go. That's better. But if you don't do it right away and you go 2 stitches, you are going to have your hands full. So try to like address it. If something is not right, do it right away and tighten it. Or it'll be very difficult to figure your backing your way out through those stitches. And it's looking good. Now at this point, this piece I put on here is just in the way. So I'm going to take it off because it's driving me crazy. And my string needs adjusted so that I can keep going. So I don't want a double string. Oops, sorry guys, I just hit the camera all rambunctious. I'm going to shorten it again a little bit. Or, oops, uh-oh. So I just went through my paper and tore a hole. Not cool. Not cool at all. I'm not sure how that's going to affect me later or if it'll tear, but there's nothing I can do about it. And I think what I'm going to do this week is on this last one, I'm going to try some kind of a paper reinforcement or fabric strip along the outside just to reinforce it so that if it does tear, it's kind of glued already. So that's what I'm going to try. Okay, just like before, I will knot this by going back on itself, and then because my holes are so big, I'm going to do a second knot. So, and again, I may just go ahead and do it right on top of that string, just like that. And look how close we were on the thread. Not much left. So great little measurement tip, but make sure that you give yourself enough at the end so that you don't short yourself. And just like that, there we go. There's my chain stitch. I can open my book. I've got little crumbs of stuff all over me. This is my smooth bristle drawing paper. It's nice, it's thick, takes pencil beautifully, it takes all kinds of media beautifully. Then I have hot press watercolor paper, arches, and then cold press watercolor paper. And so how awesome is that? It's pretty, it's not very heavy, it's not very thick, and it's got a pocket in the back so I can put resource images in here, little notes that I want to stick in here so that when I'm on airplane, it's all contained in one project file. And what I'll probably do is have one in my suitcase and then one in my backpack that'll be under my seat. And then the suitcase one will be the trip home so I can work on that. So I'll kind of spread it out that way so that I don't have to carry them all. But I've got something to work in that gives me plenty of surface without taking an entire giant book. That's it, guys. We just did an hour. I can't believe it. Thanks so much for watching. Annie C, thank you. Lebowski, thank you. Thank you to my husband with this stash of goodies. And that's all I've got tonight. Hope to see you guys later. I should be back for Friday Night Dinos. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're new here or you're watching the VOD, definitely subscribe to me. I am on YouTube under Wendy Alm Fine Art, and I also am on Twitch under Wendy Makes Art. Tuesdays, Fridays, Mountain Time, usually around 7, unless I get stuck in a 2-hour traffic stop.